Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new video. Today is at least one of my most anticipated videos I'm making besides some film projects ongoing. And that is a in-depth look at my Scream 1, Scream 96 original costume guide. There's been plenty of cosplay guides throughout the years. Mindbro does a really great one on every film franchise. He gets like the correct masks, the most accurate robes, the most accurate props. His guides are a huge inspiration for this one, but I wanted to put my own spin on it because I have a few props I've made to go alongside it, some discoveries for some close enough boots and things like that. So without further ado, let's get into the costume guide. We're going to start off with the robe and mask. So yeah. All right, and here we are with the first piece of the costume, the most important piece for a Scream 1996 costume. This is a genuine Scream era Gen 1. When I say Scream era, that means it's like the production run that was the same one kind of used around the time Scream started production. So you got the correct vinyl sturdiness, the correct kind of eye cuts and paint. Mine's really unique with the nose paint. It has some overspray on here, and it's kind of just like a weird hook shape. But it is a gorgeous mask. The shape is actually really reminiscent of almost all of the Gen 1s like combined from that film. So like the eye warps are really reminiscent of like the Cine Attack mask, but then we got like this jutting out cheekbone that looks like the window mask from the Casey Becker scene. The mouth looks like the garage scene. It's just a really cool amalgamation of all like the main masks that people think of when you say Scream 1, and I adore this piece. This was purchased from my buddy the Vertighost on Instagram, so drop him a follow. He has some really cool stuff in his collection. He has a Scream 2 style era like production run Gen 2 mask, I believe, that he has for sale still. So hit him up if you want to purchase that. And yeah, this is just a gorgeous copy. Because it is an older mask, obviously, the shroud's seen some better days. I've had to do some patches and stitching on it. I did whiten this mask. It was pretty yellowed when I got it, but I didn't like do a full whitening and cleaning treatment because like the Scream used masks don't look super great nowadays. And so I kind of wanted to keep just some of the rough around the edges. Like the Scream 1 and 2 masks, they never looked perfect. Gen 1 and Gen 2's had like some different, defects and stuff. Obviously they have like mouth and mold defects, but this is a gorgeous copy with a fully intact shroud. Just beautiful. I do have Velcro at the top, and that's obviously for the costume piece itself. So let's just dive into the robe next. And here we have the robe. This robe is made by the very talented, I believe there's a few different people who work on these, but Scream Robes on Instagram. Brad's Costumes is what they were used to be called. And it is a gorgeous robe. It is the highest quality robe I have ever owned. In fact, all of my other robes besides my Fun World Red Sparkle robe are now gone. Scream 4 robe is gone, unfortunately. My original 96 Nell Cosplay robe I sold. Same with my 7 robe. I made a video on that around the launch of Scream 7. That's been sold. Right now I'm waiting on my Scream 4 robe from Scream Robes to be made and shipped out. But I have this beautiful 96 made by Scream Robes. Has the beautiful arm drapes, accurate gloves, which Scream 96 is weird because the gloves don't have like the 3 paneling right there that the later costume gloves would have. So it's just like a black costume glove sewed on. Accurate flat ties, the hood, and in my opinion, Scream Robes does the hoods for the 96 the best in terms of shape. It just has like that very nice wide round shape, unless of course you're going for a K&B style robe where it just had like no foam and no buckram in the hood. But yeah, there's the robe. We'll pan down, show you the bottom triangle cuts. They're a little too uniform compared to some of the ones used in the movie, but it's actually really reminiscent of like the costume bag robe as well as the bathroom stall robe. So, and that's kind of the look I'm going for anyway. So yeah, that's the robe. We'll go into detail with the boots next. All right, and here we have the boots. So this is kind of a hot topic for debate, but the Scream 1996 boots were brown. I don't care what anyone else says. You look at the bathroom scene, which was confirmed to use the same killer boots as the main costume, as well as the fact that Skeet Ulrich also was given the same pair of boots as the killer and wore those in a later film, and those were very clearly brown. So I went with some vintage brown boots. The issue is, with boots, the screen-used ones from Scream 96, you're not going to find. They're a Reebok box, they're a very specific model of box, and only 2 have ever surfaced, and they're owned by the same collector. So what I did, because the Reebok box have like a very unique texture to them, and like a very like, the browns differ drastically and everything, I found a vintage pair of Doc Martens, which is kind of ironic because Doc Martens are the current choice of boots for the last 3 Scream films. But they also made some really nice vintage brown ankle boots, which are similar to Reebok box. In fact, the only difference in terms of pattern, in terms of the leather, is this extra stitch right here, which you can't see when wearing the costume very much. The soles do come in a transparent yellow or a translucent yellow. I just used some like sole darkening. It's not paint, but it's like a dye, and I darkened those up to be mostly black. I darkened up the leather to be a darker leather to match the screen used ones. But as far as I know, these are the closest boots you're going to get to Reebok box without finding the box, especially in terms of fit, where they're ankle boots, and they are just gorgeous and honestly perfect stand-ins. No one would be able to tell you're not wearing the box at first glance. So yeah, let's go on to some of the more miscellaneous props that aren't necessary, but they do add a lot of character. All right, and here we are at the miscellaneous props that we use. This one is, if I want a bloody knife scene, or a bloody knife shot, I'm not going to make another custom 96 because honestly, besides the ones I sell, they take so long and I just don't view it as worth it having multiple for myself. And I'll go into that one in a second. But this is the newly released Fun World PU foam knife. This was released last year. You can find them at Spirit Halloween, Amazon, Crypt Keepers, anywhere that sells Ghostface stuff basically carried these. And they were foam Buck 120 replicas, which are actually a lot more accurate in scale, as you'll see here, than like a chromed out Buck or a chromed out Fun World knife that they've been using since the 25th anniversary. What I did was I went through and I sanded it down, filled in all of the flaws and holes, and then I did a custom chrome finishing on it. Once that was set, I went through and I added permablood, and I went a little more extreme than like the actual 96 knife had in terms of its blood splatter, but it is just gorgeous. It's foam, so it's pretty flexible. I don't want to crack the paint, but it's flexible. It'll squeeze in your hand. It's comfortable. It's super lightweight. You can drop it all day, no problems. Next up for knives is what I will be taking to most conventions, unless I want to rock the bloody look. And this is my custom Buck 120C 3D printed knife. I sell these every once in a while on Etsy. They do take about a week and a half to make because first I have to do the black base, and then I have to do I use 1K clear coat just because it's a little less toxic and you don't need a full 2K clear coat to do the chrome finishing I do. And then once that's set, I use what's called Fusion Firm Chrome. It's an alcohol-based airbrush chrome. It requires you to let it set for about 3 to 4 days, and then you can clear coat with Aqua Gloss, and this is after it's clear coated. And you can just see it. It is gorgeous. It doesn't dull out the metallic finish at all. Like, it is still near mirror. I do make the blades a little bit duller of a silver just because that is accurate. But yeah, the hilts are like full mirror chrome. They're super lightweight. These are made out of PLA. They are gorgeous. And then when I am doing photo shoots in-house or, you know, at a buddy's house where I'm not worried about getting in trouble for pulling out a real knife, this isn't quite a 120C. It's a pre-stamped vintage buck though. And its shape, if I can safely get it out, its shape is very similar to a buck 120C. So it's why I bought it. It's gorgeous. This one costs about as much as a brand new buck does, but it has that vintage shape to it. And it is just stunning. Again, it's a pre-stamp. So if the camera will focus. It doesn't have the C stamp. I do plan on getting that machined into it just for accuracy's sake. But shape-wise, it is like 99% there to a 120C. And you can see here, scaling-wise, my buck's a tad longer in terms of the hilt. But I mean, this was made before I got a vintage buck, so I scaled up based off of the modern bucks. But blade shape, they're like spot on. It's just, man, this vintage one looks fantastic in photos. And then these two are something I'm really proud of. These are fully custom by me. A buddy of mine stopped by Drowned Boy's Ghost Face Museum at the Lucky Rabbit because he lives nearby, and he got me some amazing reference shots of the Goldtronic voice changer, the same model that was used for Scream 1 and 2. So, oop, I almost dropped the camera there. With that, he was able to provide reference images, and I was able to make these. This is a static prop version, so it's fully hollowed out. It's lightweight. It does have an LED glued into it. Decals for all of the text, including down at the switches. It's thick, very similar. Like, obviously I can't get one-to-one scaling without being there to see the physical prop in person or getting measurements. But this is as accurate as I can make it, and I'd argue it's probably as accurate as anyone else has made one in terms of design. I do include real speaker mesh in it just to add that level of depth, a clear ring, because I notice a lot of people do like the brown aged ring with these because that's what Douglas's had when he bought his from auction, but his Goldtronic is beat to shit, and it's very clear that that acrylic has either been painted or just aged terribly and browned and yellowed. So I'm making mine clear just because that's how it would be in 1996. Here is another version, same scaling, same everything, but you'll notice bottom's a little bit more rough because it has to be separated, and that's for this.
I told you not to hang up on me. We'll have some fun with you before you die.
I have a mix of the different films, voice lines that I like, but it has a soundboard inside. It's just held together with 2-sided tape right now. I'll make a updated version with magnets later on, like when I made my first version of these. But yeah, these are great pieces. I will be taking this one to FanX Salt Lake City in September. It's just gonna be really fun to walk around and go,
No, you listen, you little bitch. You hang up on me again, I'll cut you like a fish, understand?
it's just gonna be really fun. So yeah, if anyone plans on going to FanX Salt Lake City in September, let me know and I will be glad to take a photo with you. I will be going at least 2 days because I'll do my Scream 4 costume there as well. And I'll do a breakdown once my new robe from Scream Robes arrives for that, because I have some really cool stuff for that. But yeah, without further ado, hope you guys like this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I am out.